Welcome back to the Big Leagues podcast. Back with a video here. We're going to break down the Super Bowl this weekend, and then since tomorrow's the NBA trade deadline, we brought a couple fake trades to the table here to go through as well. Starting off with the Super Bowl, we got the 49ers versus the Chiefs. 49ers are 2-point favorites at minus 130. Chiefs, the underdogs at plus 110. I got a feeling what team you're going to be riding with here, Isaac, but why don't you give me your breakdown?
I'm not sure if this is the team you're thinking of, but I am going with the Chiefs. My policy's been don't bet against Mr. Mahomes, and so far, the last two postseasons has gone pretty well. 49ers are, in my opinion, the best team on paper and a more complete team than the Chiefs, but I just think that the Chiefs defense is an elite unit, and they've really stepped up, this year, or like over the last few seasons. And I just think they'll make a few big plays in the game, and the offense is going to do enough to get the job done. And I think the Chiefs will just squeak by with a narrow win and upset the Niners. What are you thinking for this?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good policy that I like to stick to as well. Mahomes, he's like probably my favorite player that's not on the Steelers. It's just like a pleasure to watch him play. He's so good, but I just think that Mahomes and Andy Reid is together, like with Kelsey and that defense. I think they match up pretty well against the 49ers. To be honest, like the 49ers have been probably the best team all year, like you could say, but to like these playoff games, they haven't impressed me all that much. They should have lost that game to the Packers.
Yeah.
They should have lost that game to the Lions. So I don't think you can mess around like that against Mahomes and not have it bite you in the ass. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think they've looked pretty bad in the playoffs so far, and I think Purdy. I'm not saying it's on him. I feel like the defense hasn't played, or at least in the first half of both those games, the defense didn't play to exactly what it was. And I think like in the Lions game in the first half, seems like they were struggling to get the run game going. Like CMC couldn't really get anything going. Their offense was just pretty, like they were just kind of as predictable that they were dropping back on third and long, and they're having trouble. Like the Lions are, stopping it pretty well in the first half. So I think, if they have trouble running the ball against the Chiefs, which, they got a pretty good D line, good interior run defense with Chris Jones. So if that's not working, I think they're gonna have like a tough time because Kansas City's got two really good corners and one of the best secondaries in the league. So I feel like if you're always throwing in like third and long with two really good corners, like they'll jump one and make a big play. And I feel like big plays in the Super Bowl is kind of like what dictates the games, like who can kind of make the game changing play or two.
Yeah. I was just about to mention like those two corners match up well, where like San Fran's got Ayuk and Debo, but KC can match that with Snead and McDuffie.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how well that pass game can work. I mean, I guess they also got Kittle, but like everyone thinks that 49ers are just going to run the ball all over them, but we'll see, I guess. Like another thing that's worth noting is like it's a pretty big stage for Purdy here. I know he just won 2 playoff games, but being in the Super Bowl, it's a different stage. Mahomes has been there. He's won a couple. Like they got the experience. They know what it's like extra long halftime, all the like spectacle, all that.
Yeah.
Not going to phase them at all. I mean, the 49ers have been there too recently, but not with Purdy. So we'll see how it goes. And we'll see too, like Kyle Shanahan's a great coach, but it's been a big thing that he can't seem to win the big game. So we'll see if he can get it done in this Super Bowl.
Yeah. What were you thinking of any bets for the Super Bowl yet, or what?
I took a look at a couple here. They got for the Super Bowl. They got so many bets to look at. One, I'll give you. We'll do 2 like regular ones. We'll do a long shot plus 400 or greater. So I'll give you my first one here. A little bit of a degenerate bet, but I think it's got a high probability of cash in here. So Kansas City Chiefs longest punt of the game over 54.5 yards minus 150.
Long punt.
I have a good feeling about it. If you look through the Chiefs punter, like all the games so far of this year, he's played 20 games. and he's went over 55. He's won 55 or more yards 70% of the time. And some of the games that he went under, like it could be it's cold weather. Like for example, that Dolphins game, he didn't get a 55-yard punt. Well, it was a blizzard, so the probability is even higher than that. And it's not going to be cold in Vegas, and they're in a dome, so I think he gets that punt.
I mean, I don't hate it. Like the stats make it sound pretty good, but I just don't like really betting on punting. But
I mean, it's not the most exciting bet, but
yeah,
I just like the odds on that one. I know some books have even bumped the line up to 56.5. So like I personally use Bet365 where it's still 54.5. So I like that number.
I guess I'll give one of mine now. Kind of building off what I was saying a little earlier with the Chiefs secondary making some big plays. I got Mr. Brock Purdy, aka Anna Fry, to throw an interception -130. I just feel like he hasn't. I mean, he played pretty good in the second half of the Lions games, but he's had some struggles so far in the playoffs. And I think Chiefs got a really good secondary, like we were saying, and I feel like he throws one to Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree with that. To be honest, that's something that might also be in my portfolio as well. I think it's a big moment. Like if they have to chase, he might have to throw something up at the end of the game or whatever. And the Chiefs, like defensive coordinator, I think is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. Pretty like underrated, I would say, in my opinion. But I think he's going to dial something up. And when you like how we mentioned, they got Snead and McDuffie, so yeah, I think it's I would agree with you there that I do think Purdy might throw a pick.
Okay.
I'll come back with my next one here. I got Rashee Rice anytime touchdown score +140. Didn't really look up too much stats on this one or anything, but I just got a gut feeling that Rice is gonna get in the end zone on Sunday.
I mean, valid take. He's kind of been Mahomes even as much as Kelsey, kind of his go-to target out there. Even saying that, my next line is Mr. Taylor Swift to get in the end zone -125. I just think last year he scored the time they beat San Francisco. He just kind of he's Mahomes go-to guy, kind of like Gronk is to Brady. Yeah. When they need a play, like he's looking his way, and I just think he'll score sometime in the game. Is kind of what I'm thinking with that one. Nothing too steamy there, just kind of standard take, but I feel like it's somewhat decent value -125.
Yeah, I think it's pretty I think Kelsey's gonna have a good game. I mean, he's been ramping up for the playoffs. Like a lot of people think that during the regular season he was not maybe going as 100% to kind of conserve himself as he's getting up there in age, but the playoffs he's been going crazy. So yeah. I think it is likely that he has a big game. So for him to get in the end zone, I think is possible. And yeah, like you said, he's Mahomes' go-to guy, so you got to think he'll be looking his way when the pressure's on. All right, we'll move on to some long shots here. So every year, the big Super Bowl bet's the Gatorade color, and they actually leaked it this year. Kyle Shanahan said that his favorite color is orange, and the Chiefs won their first Mahomes Super Bowl. The color was orange, so I'm rocking with orange +400. I got a gut feeling. Book it.
I like it. I also saw that Shanahan, the Chiefs did. So either team, it could be orange if they win. So I mean, not the Gatorade's pretty risky. It's it's a long shot. It's a long shot for sure. Mine is something that happened last time these two teams played in the Super Bowl. Patty Mahomes anytime touchdown +400. I just always think they kind of people underestimate Mahomes' legs, but in the play, he gets mobile. He extends plays to the very last second. He doesn't really throw the ball away earlier than he needs to, and he's just elite at extending plays. And I just think he's underratedly mobile. And Andy Reid dialing something up on the goal line where they kind of play action to Pacheco, and he rolls out and just beats a defender to the pylon because he's got wheels. Like I was saying, underrated speed. But so it's kind of I just got that vision of Mahomes scoring a little read option.
Yeah, I think that's a fun bet to have. I think I do agree. Mahomes is a really good scrambler. and they did a QB sneak there a few years ago, and he got injured. So like, I don't think they've run a single QB sneak since then. But this is the Super Bowl, so you don't have to. I mean, I guess you don't want Mahomes to get hurt mid game, but you can't have any fears in the Super Bowl. You got to go for the win. So I think if Mahomes might make an improvisation, if people are covered, he might just run for it. And I
Yeah.
know he had that. I think it was against the Texans in the playoffs a couple years ago, where he
Yeah,
just went on that beast run and like trucked like two defenders, and it was like, oh my, for the touchdown. I was like, holy, like I think he could do something like that this game, or a
yeah.
QB sneak or something if they need it.
Watch him in the playoffs, like compared to the regular season, like I feel like he just takes off more. Like if he, because he's like he just wants to get them extra yards because he knows like how much it means, I guess. So I don't know. I like betting his, like, even this whole playoffs. I've like been betting his over and rushing props. That kind of just something that I like to do.
Yeah, and one thing too, if you look at like the rushing attempts, because QB kneels count as attempts. So if I don't have the line in front of me, but it's probably something like 4.5. So if they kneel the ball out 3 times, well, that's most of them there. You gotta expect he'll probably run once or twice.
Yeah. No, that is. I didn't even really think about it. That's actually pretty valid.
Mm-hmm. Want to move on to some NBA
Yeah.
mock trades here?
Some mock trades now.
I guess first, real quick, Celtics picked up Xavier Tillman today for
Yeah.
2 seconds.
Not a crazy deal, but Celtics getting a little, center depth behind
Yeah,
Porzingis and
I
Horford.
I think it's a great deal for them. Like bringing in a big tough big for the playoffs and gives them some injury insurance. I just think you can't go wrong there. 2 seconds, like that's nothing to Boston.
Yeah, it's nothing. And he was in the Grizzlies series against the Lakers last year. He was guarding LeBron. He's guarding AD. Like, he's a versatile defender. And I
Yeah,
feel like it's just, just adding to the Celtics. Like, they really lost nothing, and they just gain a solid, end of the rotation big. So I think it's a solid move by them. Just adding
yeah.
some depth.
All right, so we did up two realistic trades and one kind of more unrealistic trade for fun. So let's start us off with your first realistic one.
All right. I'll go. I as a LeBron lover, I was thinking
Yeah.
how I can help him get this 5th championship, and it is with the Atlanta Hawks, DeJounte Chris Hairline Murray, and Patty Mills to the Lakers, and in exchange they get Austin Reeves, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Jackson Hayes, and a 1st-round pick. What's your thoughts on that deal? First impression.
Yeah, not too bad, honestly. Brings in the Lakers, like another pretty good player there to go with LeBron and AD. Some good defense from Murray.
I just feel the fit's so good because I think, and what kind of helped the Lakers win their series last year is their defense was like they kind of ran Schroeder and like 2 wings and then LeBron and AD. So I feel like if you can have like DeJounte Murray and then have like Reddish and Prince and Braun and AD, like that's probably their best defensive lineup instead of like, because they had to like bench D'Angelo Russell because he's kind of defensive liability. So I feel like they get a really good defensive point guard in Murray that'll help them.
Yeah, they haven't been doing the greatest as of late, so giving them kind of a spark might ignite them and get them going for the playoffs here.
Yeah. And I feel like even though they love Reeves is what they say, but I feel like you got to go all in with LeBron. Like, he's got last season in LA for all they know, so no point of hanging on to your young pieces, I don't think.
Yeah.
So what do you got for your first trade?
My first deal, I'm going to send DeMar DeRozan to the 76ers in exchange for Marcus Morris expiring contract, Robert Covington's expiring contract, and a 2026 first-round pick. DeRozan's a free agent at the end of this year. I highly doubt that he re-signs with the Bulls, so they're able to salvage a first-round pick back to not lose him for nothing. And then the Sixers got a chance to win the championship this year, so bringing in a 3rd star in DeMar DeRozan can't be a bad move for them.
No, I agree. Well, I think, and it'll really help, with Embiid being gone for, we don't really know how much time, but having like a really good score and DeMar to kind of take some of that production away. I feel like and the Bulls really have nothing to gain, like holding on to them for the rest of the season. They're done. Levine's done for the year. I think they just got to kind of focus on, reshaping their franchise, because like I don't know what they're doing, because they might trade Nikola Vucevic too. So I think, not really a lot of value in holding on to DeMar for the year. So I think it makes sense for him to move him.
Yeah, I mean they're kind of stuck in no man's land, so like it's better to sell off some assets. And we always say like you don't want to be stuck in the middle. You either want to be at the top or the bottom. So I think they should move on, recover some assets.
Okay.
You got another deal for us?
Yeah, I'll move on. I mean, kind of a boring deal here. Nothing crazy. Just something, I've seen some rumors of, and I just think the fit makes sense here. Another Atlanta Hawks deal. They moved Clint Capella to the Warriors, and in return they get Moses Mooney, Dario Saric, and a 2025 second round pick. How I kind of think of this is Warriors really need a big. They don't got a single guy on the roster above 6'9". I just think Clint's a really good rim protector, so I think that's just a really good fit there. And they've made it known that they're looking to get a big at the deadline. And the Hawks, you get a young guy in Moses Moody who maybe you can develop into like a solid piece, solid rotational piece, solid starter. Dario Saric, he's averaging like 11 points per game this year, like nothing crazy, but like a somewhat solid rotational player, and you're getting a second round pick for. And Clint Capella's, he's a free agent, or coming up this year, so I just feel like it makes sense to move off his deal, and they're kind of grooming Onyeka and Kongwu to be their next big, so I just feel like it makes sense there.
Yeah, no, exactly. I like that deal for both ways. Like the Warriors are pretty desperate for a big man, so to bring in a veteran big to help them try to make one more run, and then yeah, like you mentioned, it for Atlanta, it opens up the pathway for Okongwu to get more minutes. I'm a big Okongwu guy, so I think giving him some more room to flourish would be good for them.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. So what do you got for your second deal here?
Yeah, so I got Isaiah Stewart going to the Thunder for Davis Bertans, a 2024 Clippers first round pick, and a 2027 Denver first round pick. 2 firsts, a bit much for Isaiah Stewart, but the Pistons are taking on Davis Bertans, big deal. He only averages 6 minutes a game, and he makes $17 million for 2 more years. So clear some extra cap for the Thunder, and the Thunder desperately need a big. They got Chet, but he's a bit frail, so having some insurance at big for the playoffs when they need to get a little more tougher and help him when he can't necessarily take on some of the big assignments. So
Yeah,
I think it's a good fit.
no, they don't really have a big behind Chet, so I think a big's definitely a thing they need, and 2 firsts. Clippers first going to be bottom of the barrel, so like it's basically a second round pick there, like nothing too crazy. And you're, like you said, you're getting rid of a bad contract that you could use to maybe sign someone this summer. So I think it makes sense for both teams there, because Pistons, they're not doing anything, so they can take that contract easily, like not hurting them there, and they're just getting 2 first round picks for their trouble. So I like that deal too.
The Thunder are really good this year, so I think they definitely should make some type of move. Um, Honestly, they could even go for a bigger splash, but I just think bringing in a big, like, it's more realistic to just bring in like a decent big. So
Yeah.
I think that'd be good for them. And when you're looking around the West, you got Jokic, you got AD, you got the Timberwolves with size, like lots of big teams. So I think bringing in Isaiah Stewart, who's massive and tough, I think is definitely a good idea for them.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I guess I'll move on to my, kind of, I wouldn't say it's too unrealistic, but a bigger time deal. My deal, I think this is a really good fit for the Kings. In my deal, will be acquiring Mikal Bridges, Royce, and Dennis Smith Jr. from the Nets, and then the Nets will be getting Davion Mitchell, Keegan Murray, Harrison Barnes, a 2025 first, a 2026 first, and a 2028 first from the Kings. How I kind of look at this is, the Kings, I mean, they got Harrison Barnes and Murray at their wings, but they don't really got. I feel like if they could bring in a third star like Mikal Bridges to pair with Fox and Sabonis, that actually maybe gives them some credibility to win the West, or like maybe not win the West, but like have a good shot at winning. Where right now, yeah, they're a good team, but I wouldn't consider them a title contender personally. I don't think they have enough, and kind of giving up their future and kind of their best young guy in Keegan Murray. what the Nets getting. They're getting Davion Mitchell, a guard who could be something, and Harrison Barnes also an expiring contract. But kind of with the Nets, they're not really doing anything this year. So I just feel like it could make sense for them to, maybe unload their best player for a somewhat big haul from the Kings. What do you kind of think of my deal there?
Yeah, I like that deal a lot actually. I think it makes sense for the Nets to move Bridges. I think they could get like a good return for him. He's got a skill set that's coveted around the league as someone that can space the floor and defend really well. I think the fit next to Mitchell and Fox and Sabonis is really nice, and it gives them someone to guard other other really good wings in the playoffs, which they kind of don't really have right now. Um, it kind of hurts to give up Keegan Murray, but I feel like he's definitely expendable in this kind of deal. But it's kind of a sweetener for the Nats because he's younger, and then you bring in some picks. I think it's a good fit both ways.
And the thing is with the Kings, like I just don't think Keegan Murray's going to develop into the type of player that Mikal Bridges is. So
no, me neither.
So I just feel like this is kind of, Sabonis. I'm not really sure how old Sabonis. I think he's like 28, 29 age. Like, kind of makes sense you got to eventually start building like, there's no point of just being a fourth, fifth place team. Like, you might as well go for it or not go for it, like, whatever you want to do. But I think if the Kings were to go for it, it makes sense to move Murray if they can get like a bona fide star.
Yeah, I can never give up on Davion Mitchell too.
No.
I really like him.
I thought he was going to be good at a college, but they literally just don't play him, and he can't do it. But he's a hound on defense.
Yeah, he's such a good defender. If he could just unlock that jump shot, he'd be good.
Yeah, could be the next Pat Bev if he gets system.
All right, I'll give you my wild deal here. So, got Darius Garland going to the Magic for Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris, Anthony Black, and 3 first-round picks. The Magic, they got Paolo, who I think is a future number 1 on a championship team. Then they'd bring in Garland, who I think can be a number 2. Franz as a number 3, that's unreal. And then Suggs even too, like that's a great fit there. Someone that brings that dog mentality and that defense. I think that would be a great young core that could win future championships. Cavs, kind of tough sell for them, but with Garland out, they played a lot better with just Mitchell and surround him with defense. And then if you have to throw in a couple more, the Magic also have a Denver 2025 first and a Phoenix 2026 first. If you got to throw in sweeteners, do it. Just overwhelm them, make them take the deal, and it'll end up being a win-win for both sides, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we said unrealistic trades, but Magic makes 100% sense. Like, everyone can see why they do it, and they got a plethora of picks in young talent. So, like, they definitely have the assets to go out and get a guy like this. But if I'm the Cavs, like, it kind of like if they want to move like Jared Allen and Garland and kind of retool for the next year or two and then kind of make a run at it once some of these young guys develop. Like, I could see that, but I feel like they'd probably rather. I feel like they think they can win now. Like they're the 2 seed right now, so I feel like it'd be a hard sell for them, like you said. But
yeah,
there's a world where I could see that happening. Maybe No,
I mean, they could be. I guess that could be a deterrent, but depending on what they think happens with Mitchell too. I mean,
yeah.
But if you just overwhelm them, like I think like Markelle Fultz, Anthony Black was like 6th overall pick last year. He's got to have some good value. And then if you throw like 5 first-round picks at them, like I don't know, that'd be tough to say no at the same time, I feel like.
Yeah, value is value. So it kind of just depends what the Cavs are thinking about doing there. Because like if they feel they can't win a championship with this core, then it makes sense for them to move probably one of their big 3 guys in Mitchell, Garland, and Mobley.
Yeah, so I think the Magic should make some type of move here soon. They got some assets, and I mean Paolo and Franz. If you could bring in a 3rd guy to go with that, I think like they definitely could have a championship team. I like that. Like I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I really do like the fit like with Suggs on there too. I think he's like a great role player that you need if you want to win a championship.
Well, like he's kind of out of the draft. He's supposed to be like kind of a top scorer guy, but like it hasn't really worked out for him. So he kind of like transformed his game into kind of a 3-and-D, high intensity guard that's kind of like really good defender. So I what he's turned his career into. And I think also with the Magic, kind of like we were saying, they just got so many like young guards and so many like young players that sometimes like there's never such thing as too much talent, but they're a little overcrowded. So if they just move, because they got so many pieces, moved a bunch of them pieces for one like a really good guy to like kind of make a big three, I feel like that'd probably be their best thing if that deal like presents itself.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully we get some big deals here at the deadline.
Yeah.
I know DeJounte Murray's. We're filming this on Wednesday. DeJounte Murray's out, so maybe that's because he's getting moved. So who knows? He could be already traded by the time this gets released. But
LA right now to join Braun.
just for them to get bounced in the play-in.
Yeah, we'll see. Pretty like anything else, or are we? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. Excited to watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
hoping Mahomes can put another one on there, and hoping he can catch Brady. I'd love nothing more.
He wins one here. I mean, he very well could catch Brady.
Yeah, it's not too unrealistic, honestly. Just needs a couple more. Just needs one more retooling, and could be there. All right, we'll be back again soon. We should have a pretty big episode coming up soon. We got a big interview with a pretty big name guy, so stay tuned for that. Pretty excited.